Well, welcome everybody. We're going to be slowly letting people in to orientation, but welcome to this evening. We're really excited you're here. We are going to start just a few minutes late just to allow us time to make sure all students are actually getting into the room correctly. And I will start going through our agenda for the evening. And feel free to turn your cameras on or keep them off. I would encourage you to put your cameras on, but we will be sharing something on our screen for pretty much the entire evening, with the exception of a few moments. I realize it's a bit of a long evening, but we do have a lot of important information that we're going to go through. So I would encourage you to do your best to try and pay attention for the entire evening, because our program is a really cool one, and we're cramming a lot of information into this orientation that's relevant to your next 6 months or so in actually being in our program. So, but again, we are going to be recording tonight. It's already recording, so you will have access to this. And also for the students who unfortunately are not able to make tonight, we make sure that they have access to these as well. Amber and Chrissy, do you think I can go ahead and get started? Do you think we've got enough people in here?
Yep, go for it.
92. Excellent. Well, great, everybody. Before I go through the agenda, so you are now in the CWCT program, as we call it, Cybersecurity Workforce Certification Training. I always have to catch myself between the difference in certificate versus certification, where certifications are things like your CompTIA Plus and all those other ones that we offer through third parties that we covered the voucher for 3 of them, and a certificate, which is what you'll be gaining by completing our program. So this program, a little bit of background, was originally funded through the National Security Agency's National Centers of Academic Excellence, which is basically a way that they're able to help give money for federal workforce development programs to universities. And a word I did not know till I joined this program almost 2 years ago was the word consortium, which is a fancy word for saying that UNC Charlotte, Purdue University Northwest, Ivy Tech, and University of Tennessee Chattanooga all get to work together. And what's really great about that is we're able to source excellent faculty from all over the place. And we are made up of a team of people that live in Indiana and Tennessee and in the Chicagoland area and North Carolina, like myself. So we're really excited because we also know a lot of you out there are either you might be deployed, you might be living somewhere overseas, or you're living all across the US. I believe we have students out of our 1,200 students that have been in the program. I believe we've hit every single state, if I'm not mistaken, even West Virginia, finally, my home state. So welcome. We have a really diverse group here, and we're excited that you're here. I'm going to run through the agenda for the evening. For the first, I'll hopefully be done in the next 4 minutes or 3 minutes. Once I'm kind of done going through our agenda, Chrissy's going to take the helm and kind of just go over the entire program. That's all of the courses that you're going to be completing, depending on which pathway you've selected, and then the certifications that are associated with those, as well as how our vouchers work and how the third-party exams work and all that kind of stuff, followed by just some very important information on our attendance. This is a virtual program. This is a non-degree certificate program, but attendance is still required in some format. Okay, we have synchronous and asynchronous options. And what that means is we are trying to be as flexible as possible, but you still have to participate. You still have to do your assignments, and you still need to progress through the course. We're going to talk through that later from Professor Cloud and Edwina. And then you'll hear from all of our faculty very briefly. They'll just get on camera and introduce themselves. We've got a lot of excellent faculty in our program, and I know they're excited to be here. Chrissy, this is a very important one. I keep saying they're very important, but Chrissy is going to go through how to access Ivylearn, my Ivy account, and how to access Zoom and Zoom recordings. This is the meat and potatoes of being able to get into our program and utilize your new email address and access your courses and get into Canvas, all those kind of things. Lastly, we're going to go through the 3 tracks that we offer, both forensics, systems administration, and artificial intelligence. It'll be a brief overview by the principal investigator, which is just another word for the professor that was originally part of this grant and or wrote for the grant, that are on the director board. And they're going to go through what actually is different about the 3 pathways, what the classes are, and what they kind of prepare you for in the workforce. And lastly, the 2 Steves, as you will, my coworker Steve, will be talking a lot about our upcoming career fair on October 20th and our previous and future fireside chats, as we call them, as an homage to FDR, which are just basically career readiness workshops that we hold every other month. that either cover resumes or interview preparation, or our last one, we had a representative from LinkedIn come out and show you how to rock your profile and have an excellent LinkedIn profile, which is really important in the age of networking. And then we'll wrap up and be done with the evening. We will likely take the entire 2 hours. So get comfortable, grab a snack, eat your dinner. We're just really excited that you're here, but I can't urge you enough to please make sure you're paying attention, even though this is recorded. We're going to go through a lot of information, and welcome to the program. You're in a great place. We are here to help. I'm going to go over and turn it over to Chrissy. Thanks.
Thanks, Steve. If you can stop sharing your screen so I can share mine, please. Thank you. Okay. Maybe. Okay. So as Steve mentioned, this is going to be recorded, and we are usually able to send it out by the end of the week, Friday. So please just hang tight while we get this sent to you and recorded. So yes, this will be recorded, and it should be sent by the end of the week, typically on Friday. So my name is Chrissy Duncan. You all should have heard from me throughout the application process. You were actually probably very sick of my emails as you were applying and going through the application process for this program. I am the program manager for Ivy Tech Community College, but the reason a lot of the times you got the emails from me, as you will later find out, is the classes that you are taking, even though this is a consortium, are all through the Ivy Tech system. So because I'm the one with all the access to everything, I'm the one that's processing a lot of your stuff, from the application process to the registration to all of that. So when in doubt, contact your assigned program manager with a question, or myself. So and Steve already mentioned the consortium. So I'm not going to go through that. So what this piece is this is going to be a program overview. Even though all of the information is on our website, and hopefully you all check that out before you applied, when you were admitted. Oh shoot. Hold on. Hold on. My external display stopped working. Hold on. Okay. Can you see that again?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, thanks, Amber. I've been having issues. I don't know if it's my computer or my HDMI cord. So we'll just do it like this. Sorry about that, everybody. Oh, let's go back. Okay. So these are the basics on the program. What do you need to know? So first of all, there are 3 tracks, focus areas, if you will, that are offered through this CWCT program. And when you were admitted, you chose one as your preferred track of study. You either chose artificial intelligence, digital forensics, system administration. So it's still cybersecurity. It's just those are the focus areas. As a part of your preferred track of study, no matter which of the 3 you chose, you are going to be taking 6 non-credit college level courses in your training path. Now, if you already have some certifications, it may be less than 6. We'll talk about that on one of the next slides, okay? But there are 6 classes that you have to take if you don't already have some of the certifications. These courses are offered through live virtual lectures. Okay, so they're going to be through Zoom. They are going to be 6 hours each week. So 3 hours on one day, 3 hours on a second day for the actual lectures. We know, as Steve mentioned, there are people from all over the US. There are people from all over the world. We have deployed military. We have law enforcement and first responders that work really weird shift work that they can't always be available at the same days and times. We know that. So as Steve mentioned, we try to make this as flexible as possible. All of those virtual lectures are recorded for those who cannot attend live. So if you cannot attend at the actual day and time of your course, then they're going to be recorded for you to actually go in and watch the recordings. There are no in-person offerings available with this. This is a 100% virtual program because, again, we have people from all over the US, all over the world that are participating. So we can't, it would be very difficult to have on campus type things. So it's all virtual, okay? Each session, we have 8-week sessions that you're going to be participating in, where you will be taking 1 to 2 courses per session. So these sessions are 8 weeks long, and then typically there's a 2-week break. I think it's a 3-week break between our December, like with the holidays, but typically you go for class for 8 weeks, you have a 2-week break, and then you start the next session. 8 weeks, you take a break, and then you start the next session. Each of those sessions, you're taking 1 to 2 classes per session. We don't really allow participants to take more than 2 classes because of the time commitment, which we are going to be talking about soon. So each course that you take of those 6 courses are going to lead to an industry recognized certification. Now, that says may. Some of our courses do not. They're just coursework that we feel like you have to have. But typically they're going to be, of the 6 courses you're taking, at least 5 of them, maybe 4, but at least 5 of them, 4 or 5, are going to be leading to a certification in your training path. And we will talk a little bit more about the testing fees and the vouchers as well, but please remember that this grant will cover testing fees for up to 3 certifications. So even though you are being trained to be able to take more, we will cover 3. I will talk here in a few slides about what do you do with those other certifications above the 3. So just hang tight. I will probably answer your questions. If you have questions, just stick them in the chat. More than likely, they will be answered at some point during my little spiel here. So once you are done with all 6 of your courses, you will earn a certificate of completion once you have all 6 of those required courses. Again, these are non-credit courses, so it's not a college credential. It's not like a certificate through a college. It is a certificate of completion through the National Centers of Academic Excellence and the 4 consortium universities. You may have the opportunity of using these non-credit courses for degrees. However, you would need to talk about whatever institution you want to go to, whether it be one of our 4. We are working on crosswalks to try to give you, if you decide to go to Ivy Tech for an associate's degree in cybersecurity, the coursework and certifications that you're getting as a part of this degree, it crosswalking into the 4 credit side. So there may be those crosswalks with the 4 participating institutions. If you are going to go to an institution outside of the 4, you are really going to have to talk to that institution about whether or not they will accept these non-credit courses. A lot of the times they might be able to crosswalk if you actually get a certification, one of those industry certifications. They might not be able to crosswalk the course itself. So it's always best to talk to somebody from whatever institution you might want to transfer to later. But you will get those industry certifications so that you can get out into that workforce. That's really the key and the purpose of getting those certifications. So as I mentioned, you are admitted under one track, either system administration, AI, or digital forensics. You must complete all 6 courses within your track to complete the program. You can't just pick and choose which courses you want to take and do not want to take. When you are sent your registration email, the study plan is sent with it. You can see which 6 courses need to be taken, as well as really what order they need to be taken in, because you do need to meet certain prerequisites before you take other classes. So it's not really, oh, I want to take ethical hacking and you haven't even had Cyberops or Security Plus yet. They have to be taken in a very specific order. Your registration email essentially says, this session you are eligible for this class and this class. Let us know which options or which sections you want. Okay. Now I mentioned this previously. You might be able to get a waiver for a class if you already have the associated certification. So if you already have the CompTIA Security Plus, or even the CISP, the CISSP certification, or the CompTIA CASP Plus, those can all provide a waiver for our CWCT 105 CompTIA Security Plus class. So hopefully when you got your registration email, which you all should have, if you have not responded to those emails yet, please do so we can get you registered. But you will see which certifications are associated with which classes. And it would have said, if you already have this certain certification, please upload it. So you may be able to provide a waiver. Now, when you're provided a waiver, if it's a direct waiver, you do not need a replacement class. So let's say you already have Security Plus. You do not need to take another class to replace Security Plus. That just means you have to take 5 classes, okay, if it's that direct waiver. Now, please, please, please pay attention to this next piece, because it is always a question that gets asked multiple times, even after I have talked about it, okay? So even though I'm going to talk about it right now, it's going to get asked several more times in the chat, I can guarantee you. We always get the question, can I take additional classes outside of my preferred track of study? So I'm in system administration, but I want to take a CHFI class. Can I take it? The question is maybe. We cannot give you a definite yes or no. What will happen is if there is room in the CHFI class, for example, and you're eligible to take an additional class outside of your track of study, if there is room in that class, so everybody who's a digital forensics student who needs it gets priority because they need that class. And then if there are spots after that and you're interested in taking it, then we might be able to fill that class with those who want to take it as an additional class. We can never guarantee additional classes can be taken. You do not need to let us know right now if you are interested in taking additional classes. Please, that just clogs up our email. If you are ever eligible for additional classes, you will be told that in your registration emails, which you will get at the beginning of each session. So how you did your registration email this session, you'll get a new one for the January session, a new one for the March session, possibly the June session. That is when you are told, if you're interested in taking additional courses, please fill out this form and we'll let you know. Okay, so you might be able to take additional courses if room allows for them once those who need it first are registered. Same thing with additional tracks. Once you finish your system admin track, we can never guarantee that you can keep going. It's going to be the same thing. If you want to keep going in additional classes, it will depend if there is room available in those classes required for that track, okay? We can only guarantee you the 6 courses that are required for your track. So as Steve mentioned, he said attendance is required. The wording I would use is participation is required, because remember, even though the classes have live virtual lectures, you might not be able to attend that live virtual lecture. However, you are expected to watch the recording, but you are expected, your participation is required by demonstrating completion of your assignments each week. So even if you cannot attend the live lecture, you need to be submitting your quizzes, your labs, your homework every single week for these courses, okay? These are 8 weeks. They move quickly. This is not a work at your own pace kind of program. You need to be doing your assignments each week. You could be removed from the course if you are not completing those courses each week, okay? If something is going on, please let your instructor know. Please let your program manager know. Don't just disappear off the face of the earth, okay? We are much better able to work with you if we know what's going on. We actually have a lot of flexibility to work with you in this program because it's a non-credit program. So make certain you're either attending those live lectures and or if you cannot, watching the recordings, and make sure you're submitting those assignments every week. Now, you've been warned and warned and warned and warned about this in the emails you're sent. This program is a large time commitment, okay? Remember, you have 6 hours of lecture time each week, and you could have the potential of 12 hours or more a week of homework for one class. So 12 hours of homework plus 6 hours, that's 18 hours. If you do 2 classes, that's 36 hours of dedicated time to this program, okay? It's like a full-time job. So many of you may have registered for 2 classes, and now you're thinking, yikes, I don't think I'll be able to do that. If that is the case, please email me and let me know that you want to drop down from 2 classes to 1. If you're taking A+ and either Linux or Python, we highly recommend you keeping the A+ class because it's going to be a prerequisite for more classes. So very big time commitment. So please keep it in mind as you are filling out those registration emails. Okay, so this is kind of new for this particular orientation, but our current funding for this program is expected to end September 2nd of next year. Okay, continuation beyond really depends on the availability of future funding, which we are currently working on. Things like that take time though, so we do not know when that funding would come. We do not have any time estimates of if this will continue on past our last session, which is regular session 10. We will let you guys know as soon as we find out. Okay, so you do need to somewhat keep that in mind. We have 4 sessions left of this program currently. After that, we may or may not have any. We don't know yet. Okay, so you're all in the October cohort coming up. So you need 6 classes. There are 4 sessions left. That means you could take 1 class in October, 1 class in January, and then you'd have to take 2 classes in March and 2 classes in June. That's if you have to take all 6 courses. So you do have the possibility of only taking 1 class this session and next session, or any combination of that. You could take 2 classes each session and be done in May. You could start with 2 classes, go down to 1. You have a little bit of wiggle room if you have to take a session off, but not a lot. So that's just something you always need to keep in mind, is how many classes you have left and how many sessions we have left. Now, I just talked about time commitment. Okay, and what this time commitment means. And you now may be saying to yourself, there's no way I can ever take 2 classes even in March or June. I can really only take 1 class. You can still participate in this program. It might mean you might not get the full certificate of completion, but you can still try to get what coursework you can done, as well as the associated certifications. We're also looking at making a smaller certificate of completion that if you finish the 3 common classes, the A+, the Security Plus, and the Cyberops, that you kind of get like an entry-level certificate of completion, but not the full 6 courses. So these are things we're thinking about as this program might be wrapping up. But please note, March comes around and I can't take 2 classes. It's okay for you to still take 1. We still want to see you successful, and even completing 4 of the 6 courses and getting those certifications is going to hopefully help your career prospects. So something to keep in mind. So the question we always get, is this program free? Yes, here is what the grant that we are covered by, what it covers. It covered your English, your math, and your IT assessments you took during your application process. This includes if you had to do any of the study paths, if you had to do any of the training modules, if you utilized any tutoring for those assessments, that was all covered on the grant and was at no cost to you. We cover test fees of up to 3 certifications. Now, I mentioned earlier, well, there are 5 or 6 certifications associated with these classes. Number one, you can choose which 3 certifications you want to use your vouchers for. This might be the 3 most expensive ones. It might be 3 that you are the most interested in getting, or that you know will increase your chances of getting a job. It's completely up to you which 3 you choose to use your vouchers for. Okay. Those classes that have an associate certification, but you don't want to use your voucher for, you have a couple options. You can either just not take the certification, completely fine. You do not need to complete certifications to complete the program. You do not need to complete certifications to meet the prerequisites to move on in coursework. You just need to complete the coursework itself. So let's say you finish the CompTIA 100 A+ class, you don't want to use your voucher for it. You either decide, you know what, I'm just not going to take A+. That's fine. As long as you pass the class, you can still move on. Or you might decide, I still want to take the certification, but I'm just going to pay for it out of pocket. That's fine too. A lot of the times with a lot of these certifications, you might get a student discount that greatly reduces the cost of them for you to take. So that's completely up to you. You'll get to choose, again, which 3 certifications. You will get the voucher information and the certification information at the end of your session. So classes end in December. We have to make sure you have passed the class before you get the voucher information. So essentially you'll pass the class, and then if you want to use a voucher, you will have to go into a test prep course where you have to take like a practice test, and you have to score a certain percentage on that practice test, and then you can claim your voucher. So it's passing the class, passing the practice test, and then you can claim your voucher. We want to make sure we are giving you and that test prep is covered as well. For those 3, whatever 3 you want to use your vouchers for. Now, the vouchers cover testing fees. If there are any additional proctoring fees or fees that are charged by the proctoring site itself, you will have to cover those. Ours is strictly for, here's the cost of the test, this is what's covered, okay? Also covered by the grant is the actual instruction of the classes. So it's the courses with live virtual faculty instruction, again, that are recorded for later viewing. All 6 courses you take are covered. Even though we cover only 3 certifications, we cover all courses. If you can eventually take additional courses because there is room, that coursework will also be covered. The vouchers will not if you've already used your 3 vouchers. Okay, so 3 vouchers, that's all you get for certifications. We will cover all the coursework itself that you might take within your program, and if you can take additional courses. Also covered is cybersecurity support analysts. These people, and I know I'm almost out of time, but I am almost done. I know you all are timing me. So also covered are the cyber support analysts. These cyber support analysts can provide tutoring for some classes. They can provide technical support that you might be having with any of the virtual machines or any of the programs that you might use, those kinds of things. They also help set up the virtual machines that you are going to be using in your classes. And then this also covers any online course materials and books. We do not have physical books. They're all going to be virtual if it even uses a book. A lot of it just might use things like Netacad, Cisco Networking Academy, a thing called NetLab, Red Hat. So we use a lot of those outside resources that you use for your coursework. I know Ethical Hacking actually has a virtual book that will be sent to you. So all of that is covered. If you need a physical book, if there is even a physical book available, you would be responsible for finding that book and purchasing that book. But all the books, materials, those kinds of things are covered by this grant. This would have been sent in several emails. There is self-prep that you can do, and this slideshow will also be sent to you with the recording. So you'll have it to click on the links that are on some of these, because I know some of them may be difficult to see on screens. Please make sure to check out the self-prep if you want to do some stuff before October classes start. The links would have been sent to you in your admission email. When I confirm your registration, it's sent to you. So you should have gotten this information. That's all I have. Amber, were there any questions, or anybody, were there any questions I needed to answer that I didn't answer? Do we pretty much got it?
I think we got it. Matthew
All
was doing a
right.
great job covering.
All right.
Awesome. And then actually, speaking of Matthew, Professor Matthew Cloud is up next. He's going to talk a little bit about our non-attendance date policy and some of the resources and supports. Even though he's been throwing it in chat this whole time, he's going to talk a little bit more about that. Matthew, are you ready?
Sure, I'm ready. Can you hear me?
Yes, go for it.
Great. So I'm going to cover that and a couple random things here too, right? So first of all, I just want to say yes, thank you, Amber, for introducing me. I'm Professor Matthew Cloud. I'm a professor of the practice at Holy Cross College at Notre Dame, but through this program, I'm hired through Ivy Tech, Lake County campus. And my role is one of 5 principal investigators on this grant. You'll be introduced to the rest of the PIs later in the program as they explain the tracks. I know there were some questions there about track specific questions. We'll address that in the second half of this program. But my role is really about how do we help coordinating between the states, between the different partners, instructor support, professional development for the instructors, the online laboratory support, and the support team that helps you as students with what you might need to get through the courses more easily. I also worked on the Python and AI course development. The Python course, as far as the books, there's no book for that, but I have books I can recommend if someone has a question on that at some point. The AI course is a mosaic, is the best way to say it, of many different resources for that to work properly. So there's no book, but maybe I'll write a book in the next year. Won't help you for right now, but by the time I write the book, it'll be outdated. It's just the nature of that area right now. So what I wanted to talk about primarily right now is that we're checking our list and checking it twice. Yes, Christmas is coming a little early, but we are looking every 2 weeks and we're watching and making sure that you as a participant in this program are doing well in the program, that you're participating and submitting something in there. It's not to say, hey, we want to cut you out, but yes, if you're not participating, you don't get back in touch with us, then yes, we'll cut you out of the course, not the program. So what does that mean? Every 2 weeks, we're going to be looking to make sure you're keeping up with your assignments, at least doing something with your assignments. If there's a period of more than 2 weeks and you're not turning something in or contacting your instructor, let that instructor know that you've got an issue, then we're going to turn that over to our program managers like Amber and Chrissy, who you've already met. And then we also have Fatima and Stephen, who I may be speaking today. And they will be helping you. That's a team that works with you more directly on mentoring you through this whole program. But we also have a team out here. I don't know that Edwina is here tonight. Edwina, if you're here, if you'll shout out. Sometimes
I didn't see her, no.
No, so she is working full-time to support your virtual labs. And we also have labs with multiple partners, such as Red Hat, that helps us. And we have 2 to 3 other techs that work for her to help support what you're doing. So I'm going to put in here in the chat real quick, CWCT-support@ivytech.edu. That will get you to the support team. And we will see that. I also overlook it. I don't typically respond unless I see it's been more than an hour or so since someone's responded. Then I'll sometimes jump in there. But we have a great team that really handles that quickly. And so it can help you with anything that you might be having some technical difficulties and you're not hearing back from your instructor right away. Hey, our instructors are working other jobs full-time. This is everybody in here except for Amber, Fatima, Chrissy, and Stephen. Everybody else in here is part-time. I don't think there's any other full-timers at this point, right? So we're all very dedicated to it. I dedicate 20 to 28 hours a week myself to this program. So It's not like part-time, like a couple hours a week. That being said, we want to make sure you're aware of the requirements on your side. I'm going to re-emphasize something Chrissy said earlier. Looking at the lab time for these classes, each course that you take takes about 45 hours per course of just the labs. So what does that mean? That's about 6 hours a week of just doing lab work. Now, your instructors are going to work with you, and that 6 hours of live instruction time is not just them talking for 6 hours. They're going to be spending a lot of time working on labs with you in the class. So that can be a great time to do it. But if you can't make it to class, that's okay. Let your instructor know. Maybe you're working at that time. Whatever the situation might be, the key is communicate, right? So I've talked about the lab support, talked about we're watching there to help you, not to cut you out. We don't want people to drop. We've got an over, 95% retention on what we're doing, except for those that drop because they decide this is not what they want to do. Even with that, we're over 70%. So it's doing very well. I think 79% the last we looked at that. So just keep in touch with us. There were some questions about the certifications and taking classes, and will this extend or not? We don't know if we're going to get more funding or not, but we're working actively on it. I'm one of the few key members of the PI team that are really working on it. And some of our program managers are also working to help raise funds. So we're working actively to keep money moving through. It costs about $3.5 million a year to keep this program running. But we're working to expand that through the states, including here. Hopefully the next month, I'll have something I can announce officially, at least for Indiana residents. And we're working with other states as well to help expand that program. But yeah, I can't tell you anything about what will happen after September 2nd of next year until we get much closer. Hopefully we'll know at least within 3 months of that time, probably much sooner than that. Were there some other questions in there?
I answered most of them. One of the ones you can, do you need any specific software for the labs? I was typing the answer, but I figure it might be easier for you to answer.
So for the A+ course, the IT Essentials course, we use Packet Tracer, which is freely available, but it runs on a Windows system only. So if you're using a Mac, you need to make sure you have some way of running that. Last time, I see Connie's in here. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, if they've somehow got that working on a Mac.
The Packet Tracer, yeah, I'm not sure about working on a Mac. I think that it will. No, I'm not sure. They will need Word as well, though, which they can get free through Ivy Tech, and I go through that.
I just typed that, Connie.
Yeah.
In the chat.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they can get that free, and I show my students where to go to download Microsoft Office.
And you want to, if your machine is capable to run a virtual machine, it's not required, but if you can run a virtual machine on your system, meaning you have, ideally these days, you have 16 gigabytes of RAM. That's the biggest factor right there. You can make it work with 8 gigabytes of RAM, but it may not work very effectively. That's helpful. And so we use Oracle VirtualBox traditionally with some of these courses in the classroom, but we've set up lab environments that you do not need that to make it work. That's the goal, is that really for most of the work in here, you can do it just using a web browser. And yes, you can use VMs on a Mac. Oracle VirtualBox works beautifully on Macs and Windows and Linux, all alike. Kali and Debian, yeah, those are great tools. You'll learn how to use them if you're not familiar with that. Yeah, I recommend if you're buying a new laptop, if you're looking at doing that, at least have 16 gigs on it now and go up to 64. But my son just bought one this past summer, and it was only like $100 more to go from 16 to 64 gigs. So yeah, that'll last for quite some time. We're not using Raptor and those kind of things within the Python course specifically. Chris Roberts might be able to answer that when he's taught that in the past. But there's, there are some different design environments you can use for Python, and sometimes it's Replit, which works pretty well. I know Python idle is also covered in that course.
Awesome. All right, well, let's
All right,
let the
thanks.
instructors start talking about their courses, and then they can help answer some of these technical questions too. And since Constance was already up to bat, do you want to introduce yourself, Constance, and talk about your A+ course?
Sure. My name is Constance Chasteen. I teach currently at the Columbus campus. I have been teaching for Ivy Tech now for almost 7 years. Previous to that, I was in industry in banking and telecom. And so our course will mainly go through hardware and software support. We will look at, taking computers apart and putting them back together, obviously virtually speaking, since we are not in the classroom. And then we will deal with a lot of the Windows utilities. We also look at Ubuntu a little, not very in depth, but mainly in the installation of Ubuntu and just working within the settings of that Linux distribution. What else can I say? We do work a lot on the labs in class. And then of course there is a lot of content in this class as well as a lot of work. So it's nothing to frown at. You have to stay up to date. We will meet on, at least in my class, we will meet on Mondays and Wednesdays from 6 to 9 Central Time. So if you're in Eastern, that's going to be 7 to 10. So keep that in mind. It is Central Time, so no matter where your time zone is, and I know we have a lot of students that are dispersed throughout the United States or even the world. So keep that up, keep that in mind. All the sessions will be recorded and you'll be able to view those recorded sessions underneath the Zoom link in your Canvas class. But we'll go through all of that first day of class, and I look forward to meeting you all.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Constance. You've got us off to a great start. And our other A+ instructor tonight, who teaches on Saturday and Sunday, Dima, is here. Dima, do you want to introduce yourself and talk about your class?
Sure. Hi, hello everyone. This is Dima Yasin. I'm going to be your teacher if you're in my class on Saturdays and Sundays. I think Constance does a great job in introducing the course, so there's nothing I can add except, we're here for you. If you have any questions or if you need any help, just let us know ahead of time, and we'll be there for you. We'll do anything we can.
Any tips for success in your course, Dima?
To the labs, I think the labs are awesome. They help a lot. And, attend the lecture. If you can't attend it in person, watch the videos. I think that's a big key for success.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And then we have 3 other instructors who I don't believe Alma, Ben, or Valerie were able to join us tonight. Here's your shout out if you are here. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to our Linux instructors then. And I know Herman is here. Herman teaches on Tuesday and Thursday nights. Very popular class. Herman, would you like to introduce yourself?
If I must, yes. How's everybody doing? Let's see, Linux, we do Red Hat system administration. And I guess, I don't know, probably the best thing I can tell you all is that there's lots of labs. And if you're not used to working in an environment where you're doing a lot of typing, because there's no GUI involved, it's all command line interface type stuff. And it takes a while to get used to that if you're not used to that. And so it's practice, and it's a lot of time, a little frustrating, and so on and so forth. And we touch on everything from how to add users to scripting to logical volumes and security, and yeah, that's the short list. So, and I've got Tuesdays and Thursdays.
You got Tuesdays and Thursdays,
Yes.
and then one of our Monday and Wednesday night instructors is here. Bill McGillergy, would you like to talk a little bit about your course?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So yeah, as Herman mentioned, it is a lot of work. It's 8 weeks. And again, we're covering the Red Hat Systems Admin Certificate, which is really made up of 2 courses. So it's 2 courses in one. And it goes fast. So I guess some of the best advice there is time management. Again, that is the biggest thing. If you do the work, students pass the class. The students that fail the class, they just don't do the work. So again, I say that pretty easily there, but I get a lot of people have a lot of stuff going on, as well as there is a lot of content in there. But yeah, just take the time, focus, do what you need to do. I get it too, because I work full time for Microsoft as a cybersecurity specialist, and then also I'm working on my doctorate degree in cybersecurity. So definitely, I get the time management. So hopefully that helped her. I don't know if anyone has any questions, but thank you.
Awesome. And then
that's
we have
yeah, Monday and Wednesday. Sorry.
Monday, Wednesday. Yep. And then some of you might have Jeremy for Monday, Wednesday night. He wasn't able to be here. And then Saturday and Sunday, you would have Bill Warden again. I don't believe either of them were able to join us tonight. So, but we do have Python. So for those of you in the AI track, Python will be one of your first courses. And we have your instructor, Dave Lieberman, is here tonight.
Yeah, hi there.
Hey.
Yeah, hi. You got me by surprise. I was going to be debuting, as it were. My name is Dave Lieberman. I am a small business owner. We do software development. That is my trade. And Python is really one of those critical tools in the world of programming. I'm going to be candid with you guys. I wouldn't call it the best language in the world, but it's an important language. And one of the things I try and do to bring to the course is the practical applications. And so I think we will have a lot of fun. And the way of my background, I've been involved in medical imaging, and then in business software development, we've just developed a whole array of interesting applications. So lots to draw on to bring relevance to the course. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Dave. And then we have 3 of our Cyberops instructors are here tonight. We've got our Monday and Wednesday teachers are Alf and Joe, and then one of our Tuesday, Thursday night teachers, Lance, is here. So I don't know which one of you 3 wants to introduce first. And we got lots of questions about Cyberops going on in chat right now. So who would like to?
I've got to hop
I
off
guess,
for class in a few minutes here, if that's all right.
Yeah, go for it, Alf. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm glad to be with you guys. Looking forward to an exciting class. It's going to run out of Cisco LMS, and it's a really well done class. A lot of hands-on stuff, but we'll spend a lot of time in class, as Professor Cloud mentioned earlier, to try to get through as much of that as possible. I know you guys have busy schedules, but we can't promise we'll get it all done. And of course, you know, it makes sense to go over this material. The way I like to run my class is what they call a flipped classroom. So ideally, you will have read the content before we get to class, and that will inform our conversation and make it much more meaningful, much richer. And then I can just kind of clarify things. And I don't have all the answers. If I don't know, I'll say so. But I've been at this for about 10 years now. Cisco CCNA, Security Plus certified, AWS Solutions Architect, just a wide scope of stuff. And I haven't sat for this Cyberops, but that's my goal, to get you guys ready for that. That was something you choose to go for. And yeah, I look forward to learning with it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Lance or Joe, who would like to go up next? Thanks, Alf.
Hi, my name is Joe Bodden. I'm the senior professor at the Ivy Tech Cyber Academy in Columbus, and I've been teaching the Cyberops course now for Ivy Tech now for 2 years, and I think this is my 4th iteration with the CWCT program, and it's a great course. No, it's Joe Bodden, not Joe Biden. Someone has to, did I say Joe? It's Joe Bodden, Bodden. The course is fantastic. It covers a lot. Matt Cloud was talking in chat about it. It has quite a bit of networking in it, has quite a bit of security operations centers. We use Security Onion. It's loaded with labs. We spend a lot of time in class doing labs, and it's a fun course. It covers a broad spectrum, and it's catching really good traction as the foundational cert for Security Operations Center Tier 1. I have Monday and Wednesday. Can't wait to see you, and we'll have a great time. Thank you.
Very nice, very exciting. And then Lance, you're up.
Hello, yeah. So I am the Tuesday, Thursday, 6 to 9 p.m. Cyberops. So just piggybacking off of what Alf and Joe said, it is a lot of work. I think it's roughly 40-ish labs, if I remember correctly. So it's a ton of work, a lot of material to cover. So there's about 28 modules. So each module is like a chapter almost that you have to get through in 8 weeks. So it'll be a lot of listening, but also a lot of discussion as well. I really like teaching it. I normally teach like software development classes for my full-time job at Purdue Northwest. But I also know a lot of the stuff that we go over in Cyberops as well. A lot of it is just fundamentals. So I really like it. This will be about probably my 4th time doing this, and I like it each time. I think it's very I think everybody gets a lot out of it, including me. So yeah, so I'm the one on Thursdays, so hopefully I'll see some of you guys there.
Awesome. That's a really good tip too with the 28
Hi,
modules
Amber.
of 40 hours. That's always helpful for planning ahead too. Like maybe one session you might just want to take Cyberops, if you have the option. So
Hi, Amber. This is Spiros. I don't know
hey,
if you have me in
Spiros,
your
go ahead.
schedule. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. So Spiros is our other
Good
Tuesday,
evening.
Thursday.
Good evening, everybody. I'm sure you left the best for the last, the Cyberops, but I'm just kidding. This gives me the opportunity basically to express my deep appreciation to the people that they are behind the scenes, and they have helped me a great deal. And Chrissy and Edwina, thank you so very much for all the help you have given me and the administrative part of it. And also Professor Alf Sanford for doing, no, I don't have this ambition, Alf. Thank you so very much. Professor Alf, he was very instrumental when we had the change last semester, and I thank him so much for helping me out for that. So basically, I'll be teaching Cyberops Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm a certified Cyberops instructor. I've been doing this now. This is my 2nd year, and I'm a member of the InfraGuard and the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary. And in addition to Cyberops, I guess teaching I have some special interest of research, and that is cyber warfare and hybrid warfare. As far as the Cyberops class is concerned, it really digs very much into the cybersecurity issues and also anything else that goes above and beyond that. Cyberops is a very, very fundamental, and it touches the very basics of what we call the national security. So when we learn about how we can harden the system, you can understand that you can do that wherever you work. And by extension of that work, what you do, you support the defense, the cyber defense, at least, of this country. Okay. What somebody can do with a Cyberops work or certificate that we're going to be working in this class. That's a very first introduction to a SOC center, Security Operations Center. And that will be the beginning of a great career. I don't say this is the only career. There are a lot of opportunities in the federal government, of course. A lot of things are coming to mind on that. DHS is also hiring for the CISA center. There is also other federal government agencies that they are very much interested in people that they have the skills. What we'll be talking in this and doing in this class, of course, besides, of course, the 28 modules, as it was mentioned before, we'll be doing a lot of labs. We'll be doing them together in the class. And what I'm interested basically in this is not just to press the appropriate key so we can have a result, but what happens when we do, when we try to execute these commands? What is really, how it can help us understand what was the main meaning of this lab, okay? Another thing that I pay special attention is when we write an email and we send it out in its merit way, what is really going on behind the scenes? What are the steps that they are taking place, which nobody sees, and of which, of course, we are very much responsible for the safety of that document. Okay, that's what we're doing in the cybersecurity and Cyberops. We're hardening those systems. So protocol analysis will be very much important, and it will be very much emphasized. Also, I do a lot of case studies, so we don't really lose touch with the reality. And in addition to that, I'm presenting material, not for you to learn, of course, but to enhance your knowledge outside of what is given in the modules, okay? So one thing I want to tell you, which has been emphasized by the previous speakers, and which has been emphasized also in a better way than I am, please don't get dropped from this class. No matter what, just do your work. I'm here to help you out. I'm not here basically to hurt you. I'm here to help you progress in your future and your careers. Okay, but just stay in touch with me if you have any difficulties. I understand that most of you are working individuals, you have obligations, you have families, and we are here, the whole program of the administrators, everybody is here to help. So whether you decide to stay in the program, of course, it is up to you. We're here to help you out. Okay.
Awesome.
So
thanks so much,
without
Spiro.
further ado, I'll see you Tuesday. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amber.
Yeah, and then on the flip side of that, we have our Security Plus instructor, Glenn Hernandez. So Cyberops and Security Plus are two really important courses in your track. So I wanted to give Glenn a chance to talk about his course. Glenn.
Yes, no, thank you very much. Excited to be here. This is a fantastic opportunity. I got the Security Plus Mondays and Wednesdays from 6 to 9. And given my career in the Coast Guard, my last job was as a CISO. And really, it's about context for me, having served on the DoD and the DHS CISO councils and gone through all the evolutions of the security practice within those agencies. I'd love to share really the context, a lot of the information in the 8 modules that we have over the course of the 8 weeks. And it will come with labs. And I really empathize with the folks that are transitioning and trying to find these opportunities for the future. So I've been working on the NICE framework, the National Cybersecurity Framework for the nation. And so I'm in touch with a lot of the KSAs, knowledge, skills, and abilities that folks are really trying to attain. So this course is really foundational for those type of careers. And I look forward to the students that are going to be in my class so I can share my experiences. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Glenn. And then we just have 2 final instructors. So these are for your specialized tracks. So for those of you in system admin, you might be taking a cloud course, and your instructor, Enrique, is here tonight. So I'm going to let Enrique give a little quick introduction and spiel. So you won't see him until later on in your program, but it's always nice to meet people ahead of time. Enrique.
Hey, how you doing, guys? Yes, cloud administration here. Just like Linux, you are going to be typing a lot, so make sure you get your skills going with the Linux courses. So get used to that. We are going to be using the GUI, and we are going to be using the CLI too as well. So if you guys are interested, or you're moving on, if you get to my class, of course, I will be your instructor for the cloud administration. All right.
Awesome. Thanks, Enrique. And then for those of you in the AI track, you will have an AI machine learning course, and that's our instructor, Chris Roberts. Chris, would you like to give a quick little introduction before we move on?
Sure. Greetings. My name is Christopher Roberts. I am the department chair for the School of IT in Fort Wayne, Indiana, the geodetic center of the known universe, or at least so I've had colleagues try to convince me. My background is I am prior Navy. I did naval aviation many years ago. When I got out, I've done 30+ years of industry experience in computer programming and computer systems engineering. Presently, I teach at Ivy Tech Fort Wayne. I've done that since 2008. So time flies when you're having fun. We will be teaching AI on Tuesday and Thursday nights. So we'll be covering a lot of the basic concepts, kind of a general survey course in AI, a little hands-on. We'll be covering decision trees, machine learning, both supervised and unsupervised machine learning. We'll look at different AI algorithms, and hopefully we'll have a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Chris. Appreciate that. All right, Chrissy, we ate up some of your time. I'm sorry, but Chrissy's going to be up next to go over your Ivylearn and your MyIvy account and where to find your Zoom stuff and all that great information. So I'm going to turn it over to Chrissy.
Can you see my
If
screen?
I apologize if I can interrupt for just 1 second. Michael, if you could open up a breakout room for the faculty.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started because we are running a bit behind. We will probably go a little bit after 6 Central. So if you have to leave at 6, please feel free to do so. Again, this will be recorded, but since we're running a little behind, I will try to get this done. But this is a really, really important piece of let me start my video. Of this program. So tonight, and hopefully I don't have the issue where my second screen craps out on me again. Okay, so I'm going to discuss 2 big pieces of technology with you as a participant in this program. You've already used both of these when you went through the application process to access your assessments, but I'm going to discuss more closely how they relate to your actual coursework because it might look slightly different. So, and I mentioned this earlier, while this is a consortium of the 4 universities, the Ivy Tech system is what is being used to complete the program. So you're going to be using both MyIvy and Ivylearn are the 2 things I'm going to be talking about. So MyIvy is your student portal. And then Ivylearn is your the learning management system. So that's actually how you're going to access some of your coursework to at least get started. That's how you're going to more than likely access your Zooms with a few exceptions. Ivylearn is where you'll access your syllabus, things like that. So there are several different ways to get to both MyIvy and Ivylearn. The first is going to be through the Ivy Tech website. And sorry, I should have gotten to that to start with. I will give you guys a tip. Internet Explorer, Microsoft Edge does not work well with Ivylearn. So we highly recommend using Chrome, Safari, or Firefox when you're using your internet thingy. Sorry, the word slipped my mind. So if you go onto the main Ivy Tech website, browsers, internet browsers, that's the word. Sorry about that. You will see up at the very top, there's a MyIvy button and there's an Ivylearn button. That's how you can access both of them if you want to. You can also get into MyIvy by just going directly to the website, myivy.ivytech.edu. I would just go ahead and bookmark this page. If you can get into MyIvy, then you can get into Ivylearn. So you are going to log in. If you forgot your password, you're going to click on reset or forgot password. Here is a tip, and this got brought up. If you are located overseas this session, please send me an email, cduncan63@ivytech.edu. Amber, if you can put that email address in the chat, I'd appreciate it. What we are finding is those that are overseas and located outside of the US, Ivy Tech is thinking there is some odd suspicious activity when you try to go log into your accounts. So they are disabling your accounts repeatedly sometimes. Please send me an email if you are located outside of the US for the session so I can get you added on a list so that that hopefully does not happen. If you ever get locked out of your account, you need to call 1-888-IVY Line, L-I-N-E. That is our IT help desk at Ivy Tech. I cannot unlock accounts. I cannot reset passwords. So reset and forgot password link is right here. If you get locked out, you need to call 1-888-Ivylearn. They are open 7 days a week, extended hours past normal business hours. So even different time zones should be able to contact them when they can assist you. Again, if you overseas, please email me so I can get you added to a list so that your account hopefully does not get locked. Okay, so you're going to log into My Ivy with your Ivy Tech email address and your password. Mine already is saved. So here is your My Ivy. Okay. So yours is going to look slightly different than mine because you are a student. I am a staff. So I have a staff view, but the concepts I'm about to show you are going to be the same. There are two big pieces you want to become familiar with in My Ivy. And then some links that you see may not be applicable for you since this is a workforce training program and it's non-credit. So you may come across a link that says student schedule. If you click on that, you're not going to see anything because that will only show 4 credit classes. Okay. So if you click on things and they're just not showing, it could just be because this is a non-credit program. Student schedule is the big one I think of. That is why when you register, once I have actually registered you and confirmed with you, you get sent your schedule in an email. For those of you that submitted registration that haven't gotten the confirmation yet, be patient, I'm working on it, okay? They're coming, I promise. So just not everything is going to be applicable. You're not going to have financial aid because this is a grant funded program. You're not going to have an account balance, those kinds of things. So just keep that in mind. Okay. So the two big pieces that you have to know are Ivylearn and your student email. Okay. Those should both be in your quick links. You will see right here is Ivylearn. That is in my quick link because we use it as staff too. Student email is not in mine because I'm not a student. Now, Ivy Tech's messing with me here, okay? They are switching over student emails from Gmail to Outlook, okay? They are doing it in phases. That as of right now, you all are probably, if you click on student email, it's probably taking you to Gmail. You are supposed to get communication as to your specific date as to when you will be transferred over to Outlook. Okay. I'm going to be talking about Gmail right now because that's what I know and that's what most of you should be under right now. But please keep an eye on your Ivy Tech emails for that transition to Outlook. You'll still get all of our emails. The change should not affect any communication from us. It only affects how you read them, essentially. But I'm going to talk about it as it's Gmail, as the student email. Okay. If it is not listed in your quick links, you can go under See All and you can do a search. So like student email is not in my quick links. If I just do a search for student email, there's a little heart next to it that you can click and favorite it. So then it should come up in your My Favorites. I have it only shows 5, so I have more than 5 things favorited, but you can see all. So if it's not in your quick links, again, Ivylearn and student email are the two big things that you need to know. Okay. Due to student privacy laws called FERPA, your Ivy Tech email should be the email you're using to communicate for this program. As a student, your educational information is protected. So to ensure that it's you contacting us and us contacting you about your educational information, we use that Ivy Tech email. So please make sure that is what you are using. Okay, make sure you are checking it regularly so you're not missing any communication. And we find that sometimes, especially if the email is coming from one of the program managers from the other schools, so Amber from PNW, Steve O from UNCC, or Steve R from UTC, those might go into your spam folder. Their email addresses have been whitelisted, so hopefully it doesn't happen as much now, but I would highly recommend you also check your spam folder on a pretty regular basis in case you're getting communication from them. So check your Ivy Tech email on a regular basis, please. That's how communication is going to be sent. So as I mentioned, as of right now, the Ivy Tech student emails run through Gmail. So sometimes what happens is if you have a personal Gmail account where you have your password saved, when you click on student email, it might take you to your personal email because it's recognizing that as the saved account. Okay. So you're going to need to log out of your personal and sign into your Ivy Tech. The email address would be the Ivy Tech email address and the password would be your Ivy Tech password. Or what I personally recommend is adding on Gmail in the Gmail app or on the browser, you can add an account that you can easily switch back and forth between your personal and your Ivy Tech account. So I recommend adding account in Gmail. If you don't know how to do that, you could easily Google it because the directions are going to vary on what device, what browser, etc. So just Google adding account on Gmail and you should be able to get those. Okay. Again, when your account is particularly moving over to Outlook, you should get that information as far as the specific date that's going to happen, as well as any specific directions you need. So keep an eye on those Ivy Tech emails. Okay, so that's enough about email. Now the big piece that you've all been waiting for, I know, is how exactly do you complete your virtual classes? These will be through what we call Ivylearn. Okay. So here, if you're in your My Ivy, you can just click on Ivylearn. I'm going to open it in a new tab. Okay. You can access it through the main Ivy Tech website like I showed you, or the web address is just ivylearn.ivytech.edu. You can bookmark the page directly. Okay. When you go to Ivylearn, your dashboard will come up. Okay. Now you are not going to see your courses yet listed under courses, either here under published courses on your dashboard, or if you click here on courses, you are not going to see your courses yet. An important thing to notice is courses will not appear in Ivylearn until the Friday before the session begins. So on Friday, October 21st is when you will should see the classes pop up. Okay. Now, if it's the 21st and you go on here and you still don't see your class, it could be because the instructor hasn't published it yet. Okay. So there's two pieces. Number one, they may show, and number two, the class actually has to be published by the instructor for you to see it. You can see what is published and what is not if you click here under courses and go all the way down to all courses. You, in this right column, you can see if a course has been published. So then chances are, if Friday comes about, we'll probably see it listed towards the bottom and it will say, no, it is not published yet. Please be patient as your instructors finalize their classes and get them published. We ask them to publish it by Friday. It doesn't always happen. They should then have it published by the first day of class. Okay. So I always verify registrations before the session starts. So it's not that you're not seeing it because you're not registered. It is because the instructor just doesn't have it published yet. So keep an eye on that. If you're not seeing the class, it could be because it's not published. Okay. So I'm going to use one of my past courses to show you where to find Zoom, what it will look like. So I'm going to use a Zoom course that a Linux course that I took back in fall of 2020, so a while ago. Okay. So you will see here on the left, once you click on the course, you'll see the course menu over here. There's a home, there's an announcements tab. You'll find the syllabus under your syllabus. You'll want to carefully read that when it becomes available. The modules, now with some classes, you're going to be using some external programs to do the lab work. Netacad, NetLab, Red Hat Academy, those are some of the outside resources. So most of your coursework will probably be in those as opposed to here in Ivylearn, but there may still be some stuff in Ivylearn as well. Your instructors will go over on that very first class where you're going to find the stuff, how to log in to your Netacad, NetLab, Red Hat. Before the classes even start, you may start to get emails. You have a Red Hat account now. Please log in. Please wait until your first day of class before you start trying to log into that stuff, because your instructor is going to give you specific instructions on how to do so. A lot of the times you just don't have all the pieces of information you need to log in, and you'll get those during the first class, whether you're there in person or whether you're watching it recorded. Okay, so if you start getting those types of, you have a Netacad account, a Red Hat account, wait until your first day of class before you try to create those and log in. You're getting that because the instructor is preparing the roster and getting you guys in there. Okay. And again, your instructor will talk about how you're going to use all of that. The grades will probably not be here in Ivylearn. The grades will probably be in, oh, now you can see all my, the grades will probably be in the Netacad, NetLab, Red Hat, where you're actually doing the lab work, wherever the assignment is, pardon me, that's where the grades are going to be. So the big piece you'll need to know for virtual classes is how to not only access the live lecture via Zoom, but the recorded Zoom lectures as well, in case you cannot make it to the designated day and time. You can access your lectures live and recorded by simply clicking on this Zoom tab. Now, I know some instructors have their Zoom links in Netacad, NetLab, Netacad, I think is the big one. So if you do not see them here on Ivylearn, look in those external programs you guys are going to be using, okay? But most of them that I know of are here in the Zoom link in Ivylearn. So you're in the class, all you simply have to do is click on Zoom. And there are 3 tabs. There's going to be an upcomings meeting where all of the upcoming course sessions are going to be listed. I don't have any because this is an old class. You're going to have a previous meetings. I don't have any because this class was 2 years ago. And you will have your past classes for the session will be listed, and there should be a link that allows you to click on the recording in this tab, as well as there's a cloud recordings where you can click on them to watch them. Okay, so all you have to do is click on Zoom and either do the upcoming meetings, previous meetings, or the cloud recordings. The previous and the cloud is to find your past recordings. Okay, or again, if you don't see anything in here, check NetLab, Netacad, Red Hat to see if it's listed there. Your instructor should also be emailing you before the session starts with the Zoom link for those who can't get into it via one of these other items. That first day of class, if you're having issues, please email your instructor, okay? Their information should be in your syllabus. Your classes start at 6 p.m. Central. Your program managers are not going to be in the office to answer your questions, okay? Most of us are out by 5 Central. So 6 Eastern. So if you have an issue, contact your instructor, okay? Now, there is one other thing I want to talk about, and I meant to talk about this when I was talking about email. In Ivylearn, you will see an inbox here, okay? This is not the same thing as your Ivy Tech email, okay? This is a messaging system directly connected to your courses. So you can send a message to your instructor through this inbox. They might message you through here. You cannot message me. through here because I am not connected with one of your classes. So if you go in here to your inbox, you know, I've had it in the past where it's like, I don't have a single message in my Ivy Tech meme. I've never gotten a single message. More than likely you're checking your inbox in Ivylearn as opposed to your Ivy Tech email. You will see here, like if you want to create an email, you can select a course. And I'm just going to select this one. And then it will show you like who the associated teachers are. You can pick their name, you can type the subject, you can start writing. Same thing, I believe you can be then connected with your students, with your fellow classmates to send them a message. So only people who are connected with that particular class would get that message, which is why you can't email me through there because I'm not associated with the class. So please do not think this is your Ivy Tech email. You can, in your Ivylearn settings, set it up to where any message that goes here also gets sent to your Ivy Tech email address. So you only have to check one, but please do not confuse this inbox with your Ivy Tech email. Okay, remember your email is run through Gmail or it will be switching over to Outlook. Okay, so let me go. I think that is it.
Chrissy, we had a couple questions in chat.
Sure. Okay.
If right before the class is supposed to start, let's say it's the day before class is supposed to start and they don't see their class shell in their Ivylearn, what should they do?
Wait until the day of the class for it to come up. They may not publish it until 10 minutes before the class starts. Okay, give them until the class starts to publish it. Okay, like I said, if you submitted registration and if you got confirmation of your registration, you are registered. Okay, if it's 10 minutes before the class starts and you're not seeing it, email the instructor. We are going to probably check earlier in the day that everybody has published their class, but especially for like those Saturday, Sunday classes, you know, the classes start on that Monday. Even those classes will become available the 21st, but they don't start until that following Saturday. So, but they should be published the day. Please give them until the class actually starts to publish it. All you're doing by emailing us is clogging up our emails that we can't get to everybody. So please just be patient. Again, if it's 10 minutes before, email your instructor. Although if you don't have
instructor's email,
the
right?
instructor email,
Yeah.
by 5 p.m. Central, if you haven't seen it, I just give them time. We will double check earlier that day that they've been published. And we ask them to publish it by that Friday. So
yeah, we are.
And then Chrissy, how long do they have access to the course? So once they finish their 8 weeks, how long will they have access?
Yep. So you will have access to the Ivylearn for up to 90 days after it ends. Okay. Now, for things like Netacad, NetLab, Red Hat, you have access to those for however long your instructor set it up for you to have access to. So that's completely up to your instructor. A lot of people ask us that because of their certifications. They want to access that stuff for their certifications. If you no longer have access to Red Hat, NetLab, Netacad, we might be able to put you into an additional section. It wouldn't be the one you were in where you completed all your lab work, but then you should still have access to practice and have access to the information. But Ivylearn itself, you'll have access to the class for up to 90 days.
Fabulous. That was all the questions. So
okay. Oh, one final thing. Sorry, Ivylearn is powered by a company called Canvas, C-A-N-V-A-S. There is a Canvas app that can be downloaded on your phone. You'll need to use your Ivy Tech information. It's not going to be great for submitting assignments, things like that, but it's helpful. There might be a calendar in there to message, and then, or you can message your instructor through that inbox. Just look at those kinds of things. It's not, again, not going to be great for actually doing work, but it might be helpful for staying organized.
Awesome.
All right.
Awesome. All right. So we're going to move on to talking about your specific tracks now. So we have our PIs for the grant are each going to take turns talking about their specific track. They're going to talk a little bit about the certifications and the track specific jobs. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Michael too. He's going to be talking about the digital forensics track first. So I'm going to let him go ahead.
Great. Thank you, Amber. Okay, good evening, everybody. So my name is Michael Tu. I'm a professor from Purdue University Northwest, and I'm also the PI for this project. So today I will just talk about the digital forensic paths, right? So everybody knows that we have 3 learning paths, and so I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so to find out our the training program, you just go to CWCT.us, right? So then you should be able to go to the our work CWCT main page at the PNW. So if you're looking at the training path, you just click on this training path link, and it should take you to the introductory of the 3 learning tracks. And this one's the cybersecurity digital forensics ones, okay? So probably Chrissy has already talking about, each of the 3 learning track will have 6 courses. So for those 6 courses, 3 of them are shared among the 3 learning tracks. So those are like CWCT, Compare TIA Plus, Compare TIA Security Plus, and the other one Cisco Cyberops. So well, of course, right? APOS is prepared for the APOS certification, and it will cover the fundamentals about the computer systems, and for example, CPUs, power management, applications, operating system installation, something like that, and of course components, right? And it will also cover a little bit about the network fundamentals. For example, some of the tools, right? Packet tracer. So you may have to download and to practice a little bit. Okay, so don't get surprised. So then the second one is the security plus. This course, of course, prepares the basic about the security plus certification, and it covers a lot of topics. So it will start with the principles and threats, vulnerabilities, and attacks, and then it will cover basic of cryptographics, access control, authentication, authorization, ID management, right? And network security, wireless security. After that, you should be, you should be introduced on the topics on the risk management, security program development, and some of device security, such as mobile, IoT, cloud. Cloud is a platform, right? Security. So those are the specific topics. Anyway, it will cover the fundamentals. And the other common course shared by 3 courses is the Cisco Cyberops. So this one is, it will cover a little bit about the network and internet, right? And of course, focus on the security. So it will cover, it will use a lot of tools. For example, Wireshark, Packet Tracer, and many other ones. So well, I don't teach this course, so I don't exactly know what are the specific tools, but I know this course is very hands-on. It will have like, before it has a 37 labs, right? 37 labs. Some of the lab only take like a few minutes, but some of the lab may take up, like maybe more than 1 hour, right? So it will have lots of hands-on components, and it will cover, a lot of the practical topics. For example, I see there's like passwords in hashing, and so many of those, Wireshark to analyze TCP, analyze DNAs, right? And of course, talking about the vulnerability as well. So anyway, those are the 3 basic courses. Then for this track, so all of these 3 courses will lead to 1 certification, right? APOS, Security Plus, and Cisco Cyberops. Okay, so those are the 3 basic certifications. So for this track, we have another 3 path specific course. So Linux, okay. So I I will let the other PI talking about the Linux because I'm not a Linux person. Okay, I do use Linux a little bit. Okay, but it will cover the command line, right? It is not. It is very different from the rest of the course because the other ones are GUI based, right? So if you click on buttons and then need to do something, these ones you have to focus on the exact command. If you put anything wrong, format wrong, then it will give you error. Okay, so my area is in forensics and cybersecurity. Of course, I can I know a lot about the forensic part. Okay, so the computer hacking forensic CHFI is the next course. Okay, you're supposed to learn. So it will cover the basic about the forensic investigations, the procedures, along the regulations, and then the evidence rules, right? And then it will cover a little bit about file system forensics, device forensics, and then Windows forensic a little bit, and the registry forensics. So basically, of course, network forensics and internet forensics. So it will cover the very fundamentals. It will use the open source tools. Okay, so the last course is computer forensics. This one is more about the Windows forensic actually. So it will cover the, for example, more in depth on the file system, Windows forensics. So you will need to use the commercial tool, is access data as FTK a lot. Okay, so we are working on right now. You have to remote log in into the computer. And recently we see some of the performance issues, okay? And then we're working on to make it into NDG. So, but still it has a security issue. So we need to make sure that because of the license server and then NDG is solved, okay? So we have to, we'll still work on that, okay? But, it will not affect you next session though, okay? So you are still using the remote login, okay? So, yeah, I think that's everything I would like to talk about the forensic track. Okay, as you can see, they have 4 certifications, right? CHFI and the 3 basic ones. Okay, and we will have another optional ones, mobile forensic or IoT forensics combined maybe. So we'll see when it would be the best time to offer. I think the latest would be next summer. Okay, so we'll develop that, make it as virtualized. Okay, thank you, Amber.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Michael. Next up, we'll talk about the AI track. Farina, Professor Farina Sakib, would you like to tell us about the AI track?
Sure, Amber. Thank you. Right, so I am going to share my screen. All right, so it's pretty much following up what Dr. Michael Cho has explained. The second track is in the AI. You will see the 3 courses which Dr. Chu went in detail, A+, Security Plus, and Cyberops. So these are the prerequisites for all the tracks, including the AI. And they are all lab extensive. The objective is really making everything hands-on. So you will be seeing a lot of heavy labs in this particular track for the specialized courses as well, along with the core courses. So the specialized 3 additional courses you take other than the 3 core courses are Python Essentials, AI in cybersecurity, and IoT and hardware security. So these pretty much, as you will learn, are the specialized fields in itself. You can pick machine learning, or you can pick hardware security, or once you're done with this AI track. The objective is really to understand different layers of security from not only application, but also going at the firmware and the hardware as well. So the prerequisite, the Python Essentials, which is 140 course, it serves as a prerequisite for the other 2 advanced courses. So it is highly recommended that you plan taking this course, so you have options open for taking AI and hardware security in the next sessions. There's a program plan of study which is shared right below in the link of cybersecurity. So if you pick this training path, there's a suggested session plan as well. You don't have to follow it as is. You can pick 1 course over 2 courses, or you can take up to 2 courses. It's recommended don't take more than 2 courses because they are heavy. with labs and lectures. And if you're working or you're doing some studies outside this program, it might be difficult to manage more than 2 courses. There is one suggestion for the new students who are joining in to take 1 course in the first session, just so that you and making sure you can manage the time. If you have enrolled for 2 courses and you think it's not manageable, Chrissy has already went through this, that you should be reaching out proactively and making sure that you take follow the protocol, which is very easy to follow basically. There's a list of certifications which is also listed along with the plan of studies, which is recommended that when you take the course, plan for these certifications in next 2 weeks, but they're open for you if you want to take it later on. And if you need access to the Netacad or Red Hat, then please reach out to the instructors or Chrissy or Amber. I'm sure the protocol is already set, so I won't add on that. So a little bit of the program in terms of the courses which you will learn. Python is a programming language like C or Java, C++. In Python, the opportunities, job opportunities are a lot more. Python is the language of future. It is an interpreted language being used almost in all the fields. We will be applying Python-based programming for hardware programming as well, which is very specific for a platform that we are using. Is a field programmable gate array FPGAs. If you have not used it, you will learn it in the course of IoT and hardware security. But Python is basically used for AI and IoT hardware security in their labs. So it's very important that you take that course, and you cannot take the other courses until you pass Python course. So in Python, it's all hands-on. You will be assigned programming language, a lab activity. You will be given, every module is tested based on the concepts that it covers. It goes from structured programming to object-oriented programming. You cover security concepts in the Python Essentials. So this is a very comprehensive course. You cover introduction to Python. So if you're new to programming language, the first module covers through the basics programming skills, and then you go to the intermediate. And following that course, once you pass, you can even take a certification, which is listed here. Certified associate in Python programming. It's you can use one of your certificates to do that course, but this is more of a cheaper certificate. So if you want to pick some other certificate over Python, that is also one recommendation we give, because taking that course is sufficient. It covers through pretty much the certified program format. Once you take Python, then you can take AI course. So this is again a very interesting field. If you're in in technical field already, you would know that AI is pretty much the future. It has applications in any field, in every field, for automation, forecasting. So this is, and cybersecurity as well, for automating and understanding, learning the new threats. So neural networks, CNNs, decision trees. So some of the areas which are discovered, and also you do labs in the AI and cybersecurity. You also will learn Simba blockchain. So there are several topics which are latest, and once you are entering into cybersecurity, it's important to learn about these concepts, and not only conceptually but also hands-on. So these are some of the topics which are covered in the AI and machine learning. IoT is Internet of Things. This is the last course, advanced course, which is offered. This is also hands-on. We introduce a lot of hardware modules, including FPGAs, physical attacks on the platform of Chip Whisperer. So whatever you learn conceptually, what is hardware security, how is it different from traditional cybersecurity, there is a follow-up lab in which you apply that attack, apply the defenses, and learn how to protect not only the software applications but also hardware. So this is a very interesting, it's pretty much, I call it like the future of science and technology and cybersecurity. So this is really a consolidated form, a unique composition, which is, you won't find it even in the programs of masters or undergraduate. So this is, in my mind, is like, is a great program. And I highly recommend if you're interested to learn beyond what is in the software. So the details, if you're interested, there is a link here, which basically goes through all the course description. So if you have any questions, you can review that, and of course, we'll be happy to answer if you have any further queries. Thank you, Amber.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Farina. And then our last track we'll be talking about tonight, Professor Matthew Cloud's going to come back on and tell us about the system admin track. So Matthew, are you ready? There we go. Oh, Matthew, I think you're muted.
Better?
Better.
Right.
We saw the screen move and it was like a ghost.
Okay, yes. All right, well, Halloween's coming soon. So, all right, well, good to see y'all again. And I'm going to take you through the system administration track, or as I like to call the cloud technology track. But it is a track that kind of mixes those two technologies together. So if we look at the training paths up here at CWCT.us, that forwards you to the Purdue Northwest website, you'll see that the same 3 classes are involved as we did with the rest. Let me see, go down here to system administration. A+, Security Plus, and Cyberops, right? Same theme. And then we add in Linux administration, which looks a little odd as far as sequencing, because Linux administration is usually taken at the same time as A+, or immediately after it, or before. You can take Linux without having had A+. Either way is fine. We try to get you to take A+ first if you have no experience whatsoever, because otherwise Linux will become very overwhelming for most people if you're not familiar with the command line interface. But it is a key course, not just for this course, but as well as for our forensics track. If we had a way to do this that everybody could take in Linux and Python, I think, that was our biggest debate when we were trying to figure out how to do the tracks, but we needed to keep it down to 6 courses to make it effective and timely, and potentially done within 6 months or a year to complete it. Ethical hacking is in this track, mainly as we needed another one that made the most sense. And this certification aligns out of the other cybersecurity certifications. It makes the most close alignment with this track. When we look at what has happened over the past few years in the media, it focuses, called ethical hacking. Of course, the presumption is that you will be ethical, but it is not a course that focuses necessarily on discussing ethics, but how do you hack in a way that is appropriate. It could be used in a good way or a bad way, like most anything. So it's an area of some controversy sometimes. That's why it's often not taught at high school or even talked about in high school level. But nor is it something that a high school student would easily understand. Even when I've promoted this kind of program for dual credit, starting with sophomores, this is one of those courses that are difficult at that level, but after they're 19 or so years of age, it tends to work well. And that takes us to the course called Cloud System Administration that pulls that together. And it's a course that most people are confused about when they first come in as to what is it exactly that we're doing here? How do we work with? There's so many different technologies. I saw one person mention about Azure. Well, we're not really using Azure in here. And we're working with the companies that are helping us align with other companies to obtain employment. It's not that we don't cover Azure. Azure is talked about in a couple different places in these courses. This course is really focusing more on the fundamentals of how cloud infrastructure works, not the terminology and not the use of a user interface. So it's really working with Red Hat OpenStack. Red Hat OpenStack is a key way of working with this different technology to make it more useful, regardless of the technology that you might use, as far as whether it's Google or Red Hat or Azure. So it gets much more into the technical perspective of what's happening there. So sometimes it's harder to understand, but this is also the most popular of our courses. It's about half of our students. I don't know what it is currently, but I know at least at one point, about half of our students were going into this particular track. And I thought at first it was due to the ethical hacking, but more people are interested in the cloud system administration. And the students who come out of that course are very pleasantly surprised at the amount of knowledge that they gain through it. And it's through a fantastic partnership with Red Hat to make that work. There's a new version coming out. There's been a new version every 6 months from them on it. And that's also part of the difficulty in teaching about cloud technologies, is that it is constantly changing, and that because it's on the cloud, we don't necessarily have direct control over all of the different components. Yet these systems that we're using to teach upon it are their own little private clouds to work within. So it is a bit self-contained. And as a backup, as we've done in the past, we have it working on our own NetLab private cloud system, not just within Red Hat's private cloud system, to teach that technology, as we do within the Linux system administration course that's also done on the Red Hat Academy side. Any questions?
I think we're good. I think it
Okay.
was mostly other, yeah. Thank you so much, Matthew.
No problem.
And then I have the fun job of introducing our program manager, Steve Ryder, who's going to be talking about some of our upcoming career fairs and fireside chats. So I'm going to turn it over to Steve the Elder.
Thank you, as always, Amber. Appreciate that. Hey, I've been asked in this 5-minute soliloquy to talk to you a little bit this afternoon to address something that we're calling career fair and fireside chat, so you can save the dates. You know, this is something I think is really important for you. You're investing a lot of time and effort into this program. And, you know, as I go out and speak to people, your peers who have joined this program since the beginning, many of them, and I'd say the overwhelming majority of students in our program, are here to train for a job in cyber. And why not? I mean, the industry has vertically exploded, with today over 1 million jobs already filled and another 714,000 open and available for talented people such as yourself. That number is projected to grow at a compounded rate of 22 to 24% per year over the next 3 years. Yet, the onus for finding those jobs is on you. Employers are dying for talent, but they need to know that you're out there and how to find you. To date, this CWCT has already partnered with 50 employers who have been part of our virtual job fairs. They range from federal agencies such as the FBI, DHS, and TVA, or the Tennessee Valley Authority, to such major companies such as Accenture, Cisco, Bank of America, Deloitte, etc. Small, medium-sized companies. Plus, we've also had recruiters and organizations that are out there trying to help vets find that right position, as well as others who did not serve. They are also looking for talent, and they're willing to pay for it in a big way. Yet, you really need to get a job to get experience. So how do you break into this field? That with 5 years of experience under your belt, the average salary is now $118,000 per year and climbing. And, you know, last year when we talked about this, that number was $99,200. So it continues to go up. You know, there's firms who are looking for vets, many looking for interns, for entry level, mid-level talent, people with some senior experience, but know that they're all looking and looking hard. I was just down in Huntsville, Alabama a couple of weeks ago for a cyber summit, National Cyber Summit. Over 3,000 people were in the attendance. A CEO of one, I call mid-sized employer, told me, I will take every single person you have in our program if they have clearance. Oh, by the way, then he says, if that person doesn't have clearance, we will help them get it. Now, and then we're not pushing one company over another, but just tell you how a CEO is looking at this. They have so many open positions. We have several tools open to help you in that job search. Yes, we understand the rare case of someone who's going to pick up the phone or find your email and chase you down and offer you that perfect position. But chances are that's not going to happen. Okay, you got to make yourself known and getting out there to talk with those who are offering work. And if you don't, you minimize your chances. So the choice is yours. Sending resumes to company, taking your valuable time and limiting yourself to using an Indeed or some other job search site rarely gets the position. Factoid, do you know that 80% of the positions are not advertised? Are you aware that 85% are found through networking? Just the facts. We want you to have the odds in your favor. So from the beginning, these tools have been offered to your fellow students, those who came into the program before you. The first is a fireside chat, where experts share how to conduct a successful job search. We've had such discussions in the past. I believe we've had 4 of them so far. How to get a better job quicker. Steve also told you about another one we had where an expert from LinkedIn offered great advice on how to use their site most effectively. Then we have this thing called a virtual job fair. Note down, if you would, even right now on your calendar, October 20th is our next job fair from 7 to 9 Eastern time. You will be receiving information over the next couple of days, asking you, if you would, to set up 1 or more 15-minute slot with an array of employers to have an introductory interview with them. There's no cost for this, for you, for them, just as helping, you've heard it several times, we're here to make you more successful. This is an amazing opportunity to grab an ear of a great employer. And if you're successful, set up a time for a much more extensive job interview. And it's never too early to get into the hopper. And you'll look out soon for Steve Olson's, whose message will go out. And I guess it'll be from Chrissy later this week. So you won't want to miss it. Yet this is your time to shine. Engage in the process, ask lots of questions, watch out for future job fairs and fireside chats. You're going to get those in your Ivy Tech emails. You might be one of those lucky ones to hit a lottery by having someone chase you down, but chances are it's going to be some work, and you're investing, as I said, so many hours to prepare for a great career in cyber. So now invest some more time to find that perfect job. If nothing else, remember this: finding a job is a numbers game, but your magic number is 1. That's all I have for tonight.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Steve. And would you mind putting your email in chat? Steve's a great resource for any resume help, things like that. He's good to talk with about those career opportunities too. So I'm going to ask him if he can throw his email in chat. Feel free to reach out to him. And that wraps us up for tonight. And we're a few minutes early. So thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to join us for the last almost 2 hours. We hope that you got lots of good information out of it and that you're ready to jump into these courses starting on the 24th. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of us who are presenting tonight, the program manager. Wonderful. Again, thanks so much, everybody, for joining us tonight. And you are free to go. Enjoy your evening.